Near mint condition, the home of collected editions. And check out that eye, that's exactly what we want to see. Woo, look at that panel, baby. And that, as they say, is that. How's it going, all you minties? Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And join me today for my overview of the latest Blade Runner Omnibus. We are looking at Blade Runner 2029, the complete series Omnibus from Titan Comics. So let's go ahead and get started. And welcome back, everybody. Before going any further, a big thank you to the folks at Titan Comics for sending us an advance copy of this book. This book is due out everywhere on October 21st or 22nd, but distribution has been a bit of a nightmare, so this book might already be in your hands, or it might have come out last month. But the official date that we all were given was October 21st, 22nd. This is the second Blade Runner Omnibus. I've done an overview of the first one, and this one is equally just as big. So just in case you didn't watch that first video, this gives you an idea just how much taller and longer this Omnibus is. That is insane that they made it that big. So you can just see how much taller it is compared to a Marvel Omnibus, for example. So let's bring it back to this. This is the standard edition cover. There is a direct market cover, and that is the one on the left-hand side. That's the one that's going to be available only at places like cheapgraphicnovels.com, waltzcomicshop.com, bdcosmos.com, forbiddenplanet.com, Tales of Wonder, InStock Trades, DCBS, Read Comics, and comicsbugle.com. And of course, your local comic book store. But the standard edition one that we're going to be focusing on now is going to be available everywhere. Blade Runner 2029, Mike Johnson, Andre Guinaldo, and Marco Lesko, the complete series Omnibus. And then we have Ash right there on the cover, who is our main character. And then, of course, Johnson, Guinaldo, Lesko, Titan Comics, Ash up here. Blade Runner 2029. Los Angeles 2029, and how the world has changed. The Titan logo right here, the Alcon logo, suggested for mature readers. This does come sealed in plastic, and the retail price of this one is $49.99. What it collects, and a little bit more about the different creators down there. So we're going to open this book up and talk about the stories found in here. The art is on board, so there is no dust jacket. And then, of course, look at the extras and look at the build of this omnibus. Okay, let's go ahead and get this open. Oh my gosh, you have beautiful end sheets again. I love when they do this. Titan, they just know how to hook you. That's a David Leitch thing. Blade Runner, the complete series, Omnibus 2029. Over here are the credits. Mike Johnson coming back as a writer. However, this time around, Michael Green is just coming back as a creative consultant with Mello Brown and Kay Perkins. Andre Guinaldo is coming back as the artist. Fernando Dagnino is the origins art. So you'll see some of the origins in here. The colors by Marco Lesko and Jim Campbell coming back to do the lettering. And then, of course, edited by David Leitch and Jeff Connor, who had the absolute pleasure to get to talk to about not just Blade Runner, but Titan Comics in general. And we kick it off with issue number 1. And sometimes the variant covers are on the opposite side of the standard edition cover. Over here on the left-hand side, you have a recap of what happened previously, but also what the world of Blade Runner is, in case you're not familiar with it. So spoilers, just in case you don't know what Blade Runner is, or you didn't watch the video with the first book, or you didn't read the first book yet. If you haven't read the first book, go and read it, just in case. Alright, I said spoilers before I even talked about what's in the book, but that's because of this right here. This explains a little bit as to what happened previously, including one very important thing that happened actually off-screen, or off-book, if you will. That is, in 2021, Anna Ashina, our main character from the first book, comes back as a Blade Runner. She rejoins the department to hunt down fugitive replicants. and her superiors are unaware that her loyalties are divided. So what does that mean? First, let's talk about what is collected in here. Collected in here are the 12 issues of Blade Runner 2029. It was separated into 3 different volumes. You had Reunion, Echoes, and Redemption. And it also includes the free comic book day Origins. Now, Previously, what happened, as I guess I need to talk a little bit about that. In 2019, the character of Anna Ash Ashina, we're just going to call her Ash right now, from LA, she is a Blade Runner and she ends up investigating missing people, is what she does. She ends up investigating two people that have gone missing, a wife and a daughter, and the husband wants them back. And then pretty much what ends up happening is that she finds out that one of them perhaps is a replicant and wants to live off-world. So she ends up actually joining a resistance towards the ending of that book. And that resistance is where she ends up meeting a character that you probably will know from the movies, and that is Freysia Satapower. But that's where her and Ash first meet, and that was in 2019. At the end of that story, everybody kind of goes their ways, and this focuses on Ash coming back to LA, and again, in 2027, becoming a Blade Runner. And a Blade Runner, again, is somebody that goes after the replicants that are not supposed to escape Earth. Now, in the first issue, we start actually 12 years ago, so even before Blade Runner 2019 starts, and we see Ash hunting down a replicant, and this replicant tells her that he's going to get away. He's not going to kill her. He says, I want you to go back and tell them that you failed. Tell them that a replicant beat you, that he showed you mercy. I'm leaving now to live freely. And this will become a very, very important character in the story, because as you keep reading about this, you'll keep hearing this name, Jotun. So that's Jotun. Then we fast forward to 2029, where indeed we see her hunting down a replicant. However, this time, she ends up tranquilizing the guy that hired this replicant, this redhead right here, and was probably going to do some awful things to her, because apparently she found out that this guy does horrible things to replicants, and she lets her go. She lets her escape. So the replicant actually asks her, don't you kill replicants? What do you do? And she's like, I do. I kill replicants, but only the bad ones. So it seems like that's the role that she's playing right now. She helps replicants find a new life, whether they want to stay on Earth and be part of this resistance, or take off. And she ends up going back to Freysia. So Freysia is the other character that, again, was introduced in the first book and led the resistance. And I love this right here, just showing the different technology and just the different vehicles that they're using. So she still answers to her chief and still has cases. This case is about to bring it back to that 2017 day that she met Jotun. So here she has to go over to the seawall. Now, because this is in California, this is in LA, they are building this giant seawall where it's keeping the waters out, because it's just such bad waters, and of course all of the black rain that they have, all the toxic rain that they have right here isn't helping. And she notices that perhaps the people here that are helping, or rather building the seawall, are actually hiring replicants to come and help. And she does end up finding one, and it kind of gives himself up. Got sloppy. Doesn't wear a helmet. Everybody else is wearing a helmet and is easily carrying all this stuff. So the guy takes off running. She goes after him. Now keep in mind, she also has that back brace. Remember, in the previous volume, she had this back brace that she's had issues with her back since she was young. And towards the end of that, like, they built her this black, like this big back brace, and it's helping her get around. It does play a big part in what happens next. But anyway, this guy, instead of turning himself in, decides to kill himself and says the words, Jotun redeems. So there's that name. A name that she hasn't thought of. And she's like, how can this replicant be alive? Because replicants like him only have about 4 years lifespan. This guy, how's he still around? Then we go somewhere completely different, where we have these rich old people betrayed by their replicant servant for some reason. Why is this replicant going against them? So, all of this is going to tie in. And then, what she does, what Ash ends up doing, is going to this nightclub again. Just gorgeous art throughout the whole thing. And in this nightclub is where she's going to start asking questions. This nightclub is where Freysia is, and then a couple of other characters that she's helped escape. And it's all replicants. Replicants have to go into hiding, and it's a weird time too, because you have the rich people that can afford to have parties and have just whatever they want to do with the replicants, and it's almost out in the open. But the actual replicants don't really have any freedom, any rights, and they have to go into hiding. So if they're not off-world, they come to places like this. So she does start asking around about the character of Yotam. And or Yotun, sorry. And that's when she sees one of the replicants ends up leaving the bar. So she ends up following this redhead right here. And now she has to go and investigate as to who this person is and where the character of Yotun is. Now, I don't want to spoil too much of the book because I really like the setup, but pretty much what Yotun is doing, and it's not just him, he has a couple of replicants that are helping him along the way. So you have like Lelia, that's her name, and of course, Kalia. And they're helping him bring back replicants. And there is an explanation as to how he is still alive. And that explanation is all laid out to you by the time you get to the second book. But his whole idea is he's kind of started a cult. He started a movement of replicants to stand up against humans. And it all starts here in LA. He ends up kidnapping the ship full of rich people and wants to destroy the seawall, and he wants to put humans back in their place and show where exactly in this food pyramid the replicants belong. And he wants them to join his cause. But really is to join this cult that he started. So this, again, is another case that Ash has to figure out how exactly to help. But really does show exactly how important the character Freysa is in this world. You'll see other characters appear through here. Like I mentioned, he has a couple of replicants that help him out. But also a couple of characters, a couple of detectives end up joining the case or trying to figure out, like you have the character, oh my gosh, what is his name? Detective Marlowe, that guy. So Brooke Marlowe actually gets put on the case because they don't think that Ash can solve this case by herself. Or maybe they're starting to question exactly where she is, who she's allied herself with, because rumors are starting now to spread that perhaps she is part of this replicant resistance. And that's all I will say about the plot. The art is absolutely stunning. In the back, you do have a couple of different issues or the free comic book day stuff, and that's from the Blade Runner origin. The first story is the Detective Cal Moreau story right here. They're really quick stories, and they're, again, separated. And then you have another story in 2020. I think this is in 2022. No, this is also taking place in 2020, and it's a new Ash story. And then you have the variants in the back. These are thumbnail size. I'm surprised they went with thumbnail instead of splash pages. This was an actual cosplayer, and she did a really good job with that Ash cosplay. This is the Danny cover that they use for the direct market. And they do credit each and every one of the cover artists. And that, I think this is the P-Par cover, yeah, that they used here. And then the cover right here by Claudia Caranfa, which they use for the standard edition. And the cover process right here by Pi-Par. And Harvey Tolibao. I love this guy's artwork. Look how... it reminds me a lot of like James Stokoe or Jeff Darrow. Character designs here. Blade Runner layouts, so you have the thumbnails and then the layouts, and then of course the finished art. And then you have a little bit of the script to pencils, or I'm sorry, to the layouts, the pencils and inks, and then the colors and the lettering. And then the timeline of Blade Runner. This is the one I haven't read yet, Tokyo Nexus. And then we have 2019 in Omnibus format. We've got 2029 and 2039 coming out in November. And I'll be doing an overview of that soon. The creator bios. All right, let's look at the binding here. 336 pages. It does have a flat spine, sewn binding, and printed in this really thick, glossy paper stock. And that, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this omnibus, don't forget to check out our sponsors.
If you're in Europe and you're interested in buying these books, definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices, flat shipping rate of €12 for all EU countries. Emails answer within 24 hours, waltzcomicshop.com, and you can use the code nearmintcondition at checkout and get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order over 40 euros. That's Waltz Comic Shop, your reliable source for omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. Ding!
BD Cosmos, the Canadian leader in graphic novels. They have a physical storefront in Montreal, Quebec, and their website, bdcosmos.com, offers 25% off your order of over $99 or more, and free shipping everywhere in Canada for every order of $250 or more.
Their shipping care is exceptional. Your books will stay cozy through the rough Canadian weather and arrive to you in near mint condition.
After checkout, let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way, and you'll be added to the monthly $25 gift card raffle. Entries are valid for new and returning customers.
Don't be afraid to call or email them. Ask them questions. Their staff is always happy to help guide you towards the right purchase. Visit their website, bdcosmos.com, for more. BD Cosmos, with rewards and raffles taking care of customers in Canada. Eh?
And that was the page count, the build, and of course, the content of this particular omnibus. In the comments down below, let me know if you are picking these up, or if you have the box sets or the trade paperbacks of the original series, or I'm sorry, the 2029 series, and if you're looking forward to the 2039 omnibus. I have been enjoying these. I've been blown away at just the build of these and just how big they are too. But that's it, everybody. Stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.